Oh god. Guys, if you're gonna make gumbo, you gotta use fresh ingredients. Okay people, you gotta get this black mold situation taken care of. Like, this is no good for your lungs. Whoa, I don't know who made this, but it's going on eBay. You know, if you were to ask somebody what they think the most revolutionary entry in the Resident Evil franchise was, they'd probably say something like Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 4. And while it is true that those two games are amazing and single-handedly rebirthed the franchise, I think there's a third game that deserves just as much of a title as those two. That being Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7 took a franchise that was on the rocks and steered it in a whole new direction. Out was the old high-stakes action and overabundant weapons and ammo, and in came slow-paced first-person horror and an ever-looming sense of dread. If you ask me, if Resident Evil 7 didn't ship the way it did, I don't think we would have gotten games like Resident Evil 8 or 9, or any of the fantastic remakes. At least not in the way we did. That's why today, I want to take a look at Resident Evil 7 and really see what makes it tick, and what makes it so good. Also, if at any point in the video you feel as if I've earned your subscription, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But enough shameless promotion, let's go ahead and get right into it. What made Resident Evil 7 so good? After the release of RE6, many fans were very unhappy with where the RE franchise is headed. While some people were happy with the action-first gameplay, many more people were reminiscent of earlier titles that leaned hard into the horror aspect of these survival horror games. This led Capcom to really rethink what the franchise was about. And after a long development cycle, they came back with a game that would not only be a masterclass in horror, but also lead to the revival of the franchise. With a first-person perspective, new characters, and a much slower pace, it altered the direction of the franchise. And it all started with the opening. RE7 has an excellent opening that's far smaller and slower than many other RE games. We play as Ethan Winters on a search for his wife Mia after she went missing some years ago. Ethan got an email from Mia leading him into the rural countryside of Louisiana. Ethan ends up finding his wife in an abandoned house, only for her to attack him in some kind of berserker rage. After trying to find a way out, Ethan is jumped by Jet and brought into a nightmare, where he has to find his wife and get out alive. So who is our hero Ethan? I'm assuming he's a BOW stopping badass like Leon.
No.
Oh. Is he an elite squad leader like Chris?
No.
Okay, oh, he must be a trained agent like Jill, who's a master of combat.
No.
Oh. Is he a sexy spy like Ada?
No.
Ethan is nothing special. He's a normal guy caught in a really bad situation. And this is RE7's best decision. See, for a horror game to work, you can't have the main character be too cool, or too tough, or too badass. It just makes it so monsters aren't very scary. An example would be somebody like Leon. Leon is an absolute badass. Whenever you do play him, nothing is terrifying, nothing is scary, because we know who Leon is. We know Leon is an absolute badass who can take on any threat. If we played as him, Jack, Marguerite, or Lucas wouldn't be scary at all. Leon could look in their general direction and they would just explode instantly. But with someone like Ethan, these are some of the scariest enemies in RE. I understand if somebody thought that Ethan was too boring or uninteresting as a character compared to people like Chris, Leon, or Jill, but having a character be so normal and this kind of messed up situation heightens everything. And then giving him a personal goal of trying to rescue his wife, it makes everything feel far more daunting. It makes every single corner 5 times as frightening. It makes these giant enemies feel way tougher and scarier than you. And in a positive way, if you could say that, it makes every new weapon feel like a massive upgrade. It isn't just Ethan being an ordinary dude that makes this game scary. It's also the house itself. The Baker estate is designed beautifully, from the dark and foreboding basement to the musky halls and everywhere in between. This place feels unsafe. When playing, even if you have taken care of the enemies or Jack isn't around, you never feel at ease. One wrong move here and somebody's gonna be poking up your butt. And not in the fun way either. What I like about this place the most is just how familiar it feels to the standard American home. Yeah, this place is like 1,000 times bigger than your typical home, but whenever I play this game, it reminds me of when I was younger and I'd stay at a friend's or cousin's house and just be caught off guard by their place. The different locations of each of the family members use are also just as well made as the rest of the house. The old house has to be a top contender in the horror factor thanks to the kids section. And combine all of this with the first person perspective, this place feels like a true horror icon. Now, Jack might think that his property is the best on the block. But what he doesn't realize is that I'm the world's greatest home inspector. I don't know who's been pooping in this bathtub, but y'all need to go see a doctor. Guys, I hate to break it to y'all, but these shadow activated doorways, they're not up to code. Jack, you can't renovate the home while I'm doing the home inspection. Alright, that's not how this works. Jack, come on, put away the Halloween decorations, alright? This is unprofessional. Y'all can't be cosplaying during the home inspection, alright? Y'all gotta be respectful about this. Guys, I hate to break it to you, but hidden pathways underneath beds have to have a 5-foot clearance, alright? It's in the housing codes. Y'all need to deep clean this arts and crafts area, man. This is a mess. Oh my gosh, can y'all put your dogs on a leash? I swear, this has been one of the worst home inspections I've ever had to deal with. Now, any environment can be great, but lackluster inhabitants can quickly ruin an experience. But the Bakers aren't lackluster. Jack is obviously the standout. He is easily the most memorable of the family just because of how good of an antagonist he is. Jack's 3 boss fights very rarely feel like a traditional boss battle. The first 2 are far closer to intense survival segments where you have to just survive for as long as possible while trying to not piss yourself. His 3rd boss fight is far closer to a traditional RE boss, with you shooting each one of his eyes while dodging his attacks. Marguerite's whole bug birthing thing is also absolutely disgusting. Having her give birth to more wasps in a boss fight is just gross. In a good way. The lead up with you trying to avoid her in the old house, combined with the acquisition of the burner, makes you truly feel like a giant exterminator once you actually get to her. And then there's Lucas, who, while not having a boss fight, is still a great villain. I like the whole idea of him just toying with you as if it's just another Tuesday. I especially love when his plans don't work and he genuinely gets pissed off. Like shooting his explosion traps, or when you get through the party. If you know the password for the padlock already, or you watch the birthday videotape, you can avoid his fire trap altogether. Then when he tries to kill you with TNT and you avoid that, you can just feel how angry he is that nothing is working. And it's not just the bakers that are good either. Even the molded are really good. Instead of fighting your traditional zombies, we instead get to fight these giant abominations that came straight out of FNAF 4. When you first encounter a molded, he slowly lumbers out of the darkness, and he has these giant teeth and claws, and at this point in the game, you only have a handful. So when you have to fight this thing scares you, alright? He has a ton of health, they deal a ton of damage, and on top of that, you have to hit their head to do any real amount of damage to them. They're a fantastic enemy design for a horror game, especially because of how unnatural they feel. See, I understand that zombies can be terrifying if done well, but I'm sorry, the molded in RE7 look way scarier than anything in any other game that focuses on just zombies. These things are terrifying. And yes, I know that there are some people who don't like them because they feel as if the molded varieties look too similar to each other. I still think they look unique enough to where you can tell them apart. The molded enemies also work well with the flow of gunplay. The guns are far less forgiving than in any other RE game, making your limited ammo even more valuable than before. And with how much damage the molded can deal to you in a short time, especially if you get cornered, every time one of them shows up, I find myself getting startled even though I've played this game before. With how tense these fights are, I found myself actually having to consider whether or not to fight them. Unlike RE5 or 6, you will have to revisit areas. If you don't take out all the molded beforehand, you'll have to deal with them later. I do think that Resident Evil 7 is one of the best games of all time. And that's not me exaggerating. After replaying it again, I can safely say that Resident Evil 7 is a fantastic game that deserves its place in the Hall of the Greatest of all time. It has some of the best enemy design of the franchise, while also giving us one of the most detailed locations possible. The Baker Estate, or Baker House, whatever you want to say it is so well designed. No, it's not the biggest place. It's definitely a lot smaller. But the level of detail in every little nook and cranny truly makes this place feel lived in. On top of that, the Bakers themselves are some of the best antagonists in the entire franchise. Simply put, because they feel like a family. They feel like one sole cohesive unit. And that's something that a lot of games fail to do, even in the Resident Evil franchise. I truly think that this game is amazing. And if you have not played it, you need to go play it for yourself. Not watch a video series on YouTube or a streamer. I want you to go play it by yourself. Pick a night where you're all alone and play the game. You will feel some of the most intense fear you've ever felt, even if you're like me and don't really get scared from most horror games. It is truly a masterpiece in how to make a game that's actually scary. And that's actually fun too. With that, I think I'm going to end the video off here. I want to thank y'all for watching this little mini-series where we've been going through and looking at some of the lesser-known Resident Evil games. If you ask me, 5, 6, and 7 are some of the games that people often don't really think about that much because they seem as a trifecta of mid, bad, and good. But I truly do want to thank you if you've seen the whole little trifecta of videos I've made. My next video isn't going to be Resident Evil themed, but I hope you stick around to see it anyway. And with that, I'm going to end this video off here. I'll see y'all next time. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Bye-bye!